maybe. I do pace, so I don't want to make sure that it's not anywhere where I might walk and accidentally step on it. Perfect.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Long time no see. I haven't seen you in forever. Just like I haven't seen this young lady.
Yeah.
Did you eat
She did our
lunch?
leadership academy, and the next thing you know, she was off to the races, being a leader everywhere else, right?
Thank you.
Now you still have Realty One?
No, I'm with Remax Terrace now.
Oh, okay. So
With
you're with Ron
Leo.
Pasquale's office. Excellent.
Yes.
See, that's a shameless plug out there for some of you.
Oh, they-
Like Ron.
Oh.
So, yep, we're doing Facebook Live.
Oh, okay, good.
So,
Thanks.
no problem. How are you doing, young lady? Welcome back. Did you have a good lunch? Good.
We love your class.
Hmm?
We love your class.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you.
I will put on old car that on to recommend this class to a lot of Asians.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. Please do.
Office too.
No, by all means. I know that Ron has me out at your office. I think I was just out there a couple of weeks ago. Actually, I think might have been last week, going over what we were going over.
At
We were
Realty
supposed to
One?
go over to ZipForm's advanced tools,
Oh.
but I think because of your scheduling, there was like some big Remax event going on.
Yes.
So I do believe we've pushed that back, but I'll double coordinate that with Ron to make sure. But we do have a class in March at your office. So.
And we will have an office meeting here on March 4th.
Okay, awesome. That's next week.
Yes.
So definitely, by all means, reiterate it. Hey, by the way, we have our outreach training, and we have training here, this, that, and the other.
I might be a few minutes early.
That's fine. I won't hold it against you. Yeah, we're recording today, so you're good. Yeah. All right. Well, it looks like everybody's here, I think.
Is that
And everybody did sign in? By the way, make sure that on the sign-in sheet that you have your email address there. Make sure it's correct, because one of the things that we're going to do, or I'm going to do, is not only send you a bunch of information. I'm going to email you a list of applications that we go over and then some, like from this morning's class, this afternoon's class. What I'm also going to do is send you access into my Dropbox account for you to be able to download a list of presentations. This one that we're going over today, plus any others that we have created for our classes today. So please make sure that your email address is correct so I can get that to you guys by tomorrow.
Do we need to sign on each class? Or
Yes, sir, please. That way, we do have a $20 no-show fee for each class. So if you accidentally were here and you didn't sign in, the higher-ups kind of will bill you, and I don't want that to happen. So make sure that you sign in, okay?
Right.
All right. So what we're going to go over today, I'm missing two more people. Oh, she's signing in.
Yeah.
Is cloud storage and cybersecurity. Okay. The reason why this class, and by the way, for those of you who, I don't think I have anybody that hasn't attended this morning's class, but just to go over an introduction, my name's Anthony. I work here at Orange County Realtors. Been here now over 16 years. I'm the outreach trainer to give various training on tools and products. So please, by all means, if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call or shoot me an email, tony@ocar.org. So what we're doing today is going over cloud storage and cybersecurity. Reason why this class was developed, a lot of people, a lot of real estate agents were asking, well, what is cloud storage? What's the term? What does it do? How do I use it? Does it cost us a lot of money? Which one do I use? So we developed this class to kind of go over some of that. Also, added in cybersecurity issues just because of today's information,
Fraud.
data being trolled, being hacked, being stolen, that I just need to make sure that you guys are aware of certain things. Now, I will say that the second portion of the class, I really got a lot of great information from one of our other technology trainers by the name of Craig Grant. He's our technology expert from RETI, and I like to consider him one of my mentors in being able to teach you guys technology. Take a lot of ideas from him, a lot of things, but we've actually populated in some extra things that I think you guys should be aware of for both you and your business and for also your clients. So, with that said, oh, there we go. That's okay. So with that said, we're going to start with part 1 of our class, in our 2-hour class today. Cloud storage. Which one do you use? So real quickly, for those of you who don't know what cloud storage is put simply as an off-site electronic storage system for you to be able to store your files electronically, to be able to access those files from anywhere at any time using your multiple devices, right? Now, I will tell you that cloud storage is not anything new. If you've ever been in the tech industry or worked at a business that dealt with tech, cloud storage has been around for more than 20 years, okay? As a matter of fact, it was not available to the public until probably early 2000s when Apple started to actually coin the phrase cloud. Because, hey, they want to make it sound sexy and cool, rather than saying, here, have an off-file or off-site storage system, right? Kind of think public storage, whatever.
Yeah.
Kind of the same thing, right? Like as an example, I used to work for a company up in Northern California. They designed microchips, and we used to get multiple files, multiple designs from all of our consumers and clients on how to actually design chips. Well, we had to store those files somewhere. Well, instead of the company in Silicon Valley having warehouses full of servers to store that type of information on to be able to access at a later date, they would contract companies out in the Midwest where they could build giant warehouses with giant sets of servers to be able to access that data through the internet. Today, it's been made available to you as the consumer, right? It's like PC or computers. Anybody remember computers back in the day?
Yeah.
Right? Only big companies who could afford the $15 million computer that had a big room,
Yeah.
and you had to feed it data cards. Anybody? Okay, maybe I'm the only old person in here.
Maybe.
But kind of that concept, right? After a while, as technology got more efficient, it became more available to the public, right? I will tell you, back in 2002, I knew agents that were just getting their first home computer, and they were calling us trying to set that up. So, kind of the same thing. Now, just real quickly, the old way and new way of being able to exchange data between your computer devices, right? Now, anybody remember the 5 1/4 floppy?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Back in the early 80s or mid 80s, this was a 5 1/4 inch floppy drive that at the time when it first was created held 1 megabyte of information. So you can stick a couple of papers on there that you did for school, right? Mm-hmm. Then you stuck it in your backpack and hope to God you didn't do anything wrong to have it bend, break, get folded, or anything like that between the time you left home to get to your office or school. Stick it in the computer for it to be able to download and read the file. Then a few years later, they made it really super cool by making it double-sided. So now all of a sudden you've increased by 100% its memory capacity from 1 to 2. Then, late 80s, early 90s, they came out with the 3 1/4 floppy, right?
Yeah.
3 1/4 inch floppy, harder case. Now all of a sudden you went from 2 megabytes up to 6 megabytes, double-sided writing that you could stick into your computer. Now all of a sudden things started getting smaller, be able to exchange data. Then, a few years later, in the 90s, we burned CDs and DVDs, right? Or in some cases, Blu-rays. Anybody still doing that? No one. Excellent. Right? But if you did, you probably have, like me, tons and tons of DVDs, Blu-rays, and the things. Now, I'm calling this the old way, the flash drive, right? Where we actually take a little flash drive that's probably holding now 128 gigabytes of data, taking it from one computer to another, right? But the problem is that now computers that are being made with no external ports whatsoever. So how do we get data from one computer device to the other? This is the new way, the current way, the cloud. So here we take information on any of our devices, we stick it on the cloud, and now all of our other devices that are talking to our cloud account can access that information. So it's an easy, quick, simple way of being able to exchange data from multiple computer devices or multiple electronic devices quickly and easily. Now, this is what I like to call the new way, or what we look forward to in the future. Now, if anybody was a Star Trek fan, and specifically Star Trek The Next Generation, this is the Borg, right? Now, the Borg, the whole idea behind them is instant data exchange, right? One conscious mind to share all information, all experiences, all at the same time. Now, I will tell you that we are not too far from this, right? With our technology today, we are on our way to be something like this. Short of us implanting computer chips in our brains and being able to interpret things, right? Because there are medical sciences today, like somebody who's paraplegic and can't move from the neck down, can't even speak. They're now inserting computer chips in their brains to be able to interpret their electrical impulses to be able to speak through a computer.
Wow, that's amazing.
Stephen Hawking. Anybody know Stephen Hawking, right?
Heard.
Remember that disease that kind of crippled him? Now, for the longest time, he was able to write with one finger what he was thinking, right? But then just before he passed away, his finger stopped moving. So what did they end up doing? They actually tracked his eyes. His eyes would point to the computer, interpret that information to be able for him to speak. We are there. As a matter of fact, there are people out there, there are companies, like on the East Coast, that are actually chipping their employees. They stick a computer chip, now they walk through the doors, it automatically picks up who they are, when time they got to work, tracks where they are in the building. Now here in the state of California, we do have a couple of laws that prevent companies from chipping us and tracking us, but unfortunately, crazy enough, and actually not even unfortunately, crazy enough, there are parents that are chipping their children like they're chipping their dogs.
Oh, God.
To be able to track their child in case they're ever stolen or lost or whatever. Right? So we are there. Pretty soon, with big data being able to be exchanged instantaneously, we're right here. So that's what we have to look forward to. So we have to accommodate, right? All right. So now we have a little fun. So really, what is Cloud Store? The benefits, right? We got benefits of it's easy to use. You can access all your files and documents stored on that cloud drive from anywhere at any time through the internet. It's easy to share documents and files with others that might need to access those files quickly and easily. So instead of having to create an email where you attach 30 different documents, which, by the way, if we attach too many documents, the email's too large, the email never goes out, or it goes out and somehow is quote-unquote lost in cyberspace. I'm sure that there's a repository somewhere that one day someone will discover those emails that you've sent, right? So instead of having to create multiple emails, we can just give them access into our cloud drive. And of course, most cloud storage systems do have free storage. All you gotta do, depending on your needs, is look at those. We'll discuss that today. And of course, most importantly, everything is always synced. The moment I put it into my cloud drive, all my devices have it. So if I put it on that document from my computer onto my cloud drive, like Dropbox, now my phone, my tablet, my office computer automatically has access to that file. So put simply, that's what we're going to do. So, when all is said and done, which one do you use? Well, honestly, there are thousands upon thousands of different cloud storage systems. But today, what we're going to discuss real quickly are the big six. The most commonly used and probably, the most commonly used ones. Okay? By the way, am I going too fast? By the way, you don't have to take pictures of this. Because I've got your email, I will email you this presentation.
Oh, got it. Thank you.
Okay? All right, so starting with Dropbox. If you go to Dropbox.com, we got some pros and got some cons here. Number one pro. You sign up for Dropbox, you get 2 gigabytes of free storage just for creating an account. Okay? You can access anywhere, anytime, any document on that device. It can be accessed from mobile, desktop devices, including Linux OS. By the way, Linux OS is like programming language. So not anybody here will ever use that unless you're a programmer. It does have a camera upload feature for Dropbox, which does give you more storage space. The feature is available through your smartphone as well as your desktop, which doesn't take up any extra space you used in your Dropbox account, which is kind of cool. It does have a very simplified security system. It does give you a 2-step verification process, so that means that if, for some reason, if you enable this, someone tries to log in from a different computer device into your account, it's going to send you an email that says, here's a code that you have to input in it before you can actually log in. We want to make sure that you're you. Okay? Hopefully they don't have access to your phone. And of course, you can share your files. And of course, it does have a business plan option that you can purchase for about $50 per year, which allows you to create a 5-member team to allow them to access your Dropbox account to be able to put files, edit files, delete files, share files, whatever else. So if you have a team, you can do that. Now, some of the cons. For more space, you have to invite more users to get up to your 15 gigs of free storage space. As a matter of fact, you have to download it on at least 3 different devices and invite up at least 5 different people in order to get your full 15 gigs of storage. I don't know if that's a really con, but you have to get some work to get the full free storage. You cannot edit documents on Dropbox. You actually have to have the actual editing software on either your mobile device or your tablet device or your computer device in order to edit that document that's in your account. In file sharing, you have to be super careful on how you share documents because it's easy to accidentally give someone edit permissions. Now, edit permissions not only gives them the right to possibly edit that file, but part of editing that file is that if they grab it and move it, and I'm going to reiterate that, they can move it out of your Dropbox onto their computer. So if it's a vital file that you should be keeping, make sure that if you're sharing files, you only give them view-only rights. I'm going to show you how to do that today. Okay? And by the way, it's also not really meant for permanent storage. Honestly, I think for 15 gigs of free storage space, it's not, really you shouldn't need to keep any permanent files there. Another reason why you don't want to keep your permanent files there is that Dropbox is the most hacked cloud drive out there because it has been around the longest. But I'm going to go over some security stuff later that you want to be able to protect those files, just so you know. Now, if you're working on an active file for, say, a client, what I would suggest, so you don't have to actually pay for more storage. Once you're done with the file, take the file out of the Dropbox. Save it on your computer. That way you keep your free 15 gigs of free storage. You just have to free it up, right? Because once you're done with the file and it's closed, you don't need to keep it there to be still accessed. Just move it off. And then, of course, the big one is the lack of security. This is where, again, it is the most hacked cloud drive out there, so be mindful of that. All right, now Box and SugarSync. Box.com, SugarSync.com. The pros is that these solutions are a bit better than Dropbox for Business because these 2 solutions do have security encryption and admin tools that you can actually utilize. But the big con about these 2, or the pretty big negative, is the cost. So, SugarSync, the last time I went to SugarSync.com, their costs start at $7.49 per month to give you 100 gigs of storage space, and it goes up from there. Box costs $5 per user per month to be able to get 100 gigabytes of storage. Now, if you have a team, Box will charge you and your team members $15 per month for unlimited storage. So it does get a little bit pricier at that point. All right, Google Drive. www.google.com, right? You sign up for a Google account, you get 15 gigs of free storage space right out of the gate, automatically. Okay? Real-time editing options, because Google makes Google Docs like Docs, Sheets, Numbers, or what is it called? Sheets and Slides, sorry. Any document that has basically Word, Excel, PowerPoint, or Pages, Numbers, and Keynote, with Google's editing software, you can edit those types of documents, okay? So in the drive itself, you can actually edit those documents. You can access these documents anywhere at any time. It can be used on your mobile device as well as your computer device. That's pretty self-explanatory for all of these. You do have some easy search options to find those files quickly and easily on your Drive account. And you can share your files by giving access to your files in Google Drive along with editing permissions to those people. Okay? Now, the big con. Oh, and by the way, you can encrypt your files and emails while sharing documents, depending on the software. Now, the big con, they do have a paid upgrade. Easily $10 per month for unlimited storage, but really, is that a con? I don't think so. $10 a month will get you into the Google Business Solutions option, where you now, not only are you getting unlimited storage space for your Google Drive, but now Google will pick up the phone when you give them a call about any Google or Gmail problems. Anybody ever had any problems with Google or Gmail? Or any of Google's products? No one? Okay. Well, no, hopefully you can get some help. Big con. Google holds the authority in their licensing agreement, when you sign up for their Google account, this means that any information that's held on their Google Drive, now they can allow that information to be indexed in a search. They also own the information that's on their drive. Now, people can't access what's on that drive, but Google does have the authority to either sell it, use it in advertising, or whatever else.
Is this legal?
Of course, because you agree
Oh, I see.
when you see their list of agreement. So, their licensing agreements clearly states it in there.
Oh, I see.
So, anybody here ever read through any of your licensing agreements? No, exactly, right? So, be aware of what it is that you're signing up for, right?
Yeah.
Because we've got lots of information that goes into Google Drive, and I don't think anybody's an Android phone user, right? Now, what was interesting about Android is that for your Android phone to work, you had to access your Gmail account, right? Now, one of the things from that was that your phone would automatically or could automatically back up to your Google Drive account, so you could store your photos and your emails and any other information like your contacts all on your Google Drive account, so in case your phone died, you can now index it or re-download it. Well, if that information now says that this is theirs, and you have pictures, and what type of pictures do you take? Family photos, private photos, things of, things like that. This now, you need to be aware of that. By the way, there used to be a security issue, and I had to double check on this one, that if somebody was using Firefox, they could easily get into your Google Drive account using Firefox. So if you logged in to your Google Drive account with Firefox, there were some security issues with that. I'm hoping that they fixed that. And then lastly, emails and attachments are automatically backed up in Google Drive. So every email that you get and the attachment in those emails are now backed up automatically in Google Drive. So if they hold the authority, now they have the ability.
So let me ask you. So with the free Gmail email, not safe.
You just have to be aware of what's going on. Yes, does Gmail? Yeah, basically, Google. It's not a matter of not being safe. It's a matter of who's able to index and look at information, right? Now, granted, anybody that you're using your cloud systems with, that company has the right to go in there, again, based on their licensing agreement, but what are they doing with that information, right? Crazy enough, Google likes to collect information on everybody, everything that you do, everything that's being collected, this and the other. They need to collect it all because they want to have the power, right? Not to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but this is just a fact of life, right? Number one search engine in the world. There's a reason why they're the number one search engine in the world, right? So they collect information. Part of collecting information is that in your licensing agreement, you have to be aware of what it is that you're agreeing to. Now, what's really crazy is, yes, you can delete an email, you can delete an attachment, but even if you deleted something from Google Drive, it usually takes Google Drive actually 2 days to officially delete it. Reason why is, geez, you didn't mean to delete it, so they have a way of being able to repopulate it back in to save your information. So this is why you got to be careful. Now, as for the indexing, about a year and a half ago, an agent, when we talked about this, said there's no way. Went online, he goes, all right, I'm going to try it with my client's W-2 statement that I have in my Google Drive account. He did a search for his client's W-2, and he noticed that his drive was indexed, and that's 43,000 people had found or knew that he had that type of information. They couldn't see it, they couldn't access it, but they knew that they had it. Now, I usually say to agents, if somebody knows that you have information and I'm a hacker, what does this mean for me? It means I might be tempted to try to break into your Drive account. So be mindful of what you've got stored there. And again, we're going to go over some security tips to try to protect this information, all right? All right.
You just become farmers.
They just farms, fish, whatever.
Exactly.
And even farming, you got to be, that requires some back pain. Are you allowed to farm? And we got too many people making corn. I think we want you to do this. All right, OneDrive. Now, OneDrive is Microsoft. Is a Microsoft product. So if you go to Microsoft.com, you can sign up for their free account, get 15 gigabytes of free storage space with Microsoft. You have real-time editing options in OneDrive, Microsoft Office 365, Word, Excel, PowerPoint. You can now edit Word, Excel, PowerPoint documents. You can access anywhere and anytime, mobile device, Mac, Windows, Droid, products, anywhere. Easy search options to find those documents, and of course you can share your files and give them edit rights. Now, the big con here, for more storage space, you can either pay $7 a month for 1 terabyte, that's I think 1,000 gigabytes of storage space, or you can sign up for Office 365 for $100 a year to gain access not only to Word, Excel, PowerPoint, plus all the other Microsoft products, but you get unlimited storage space on your OneDrive account.
Are those good products for Apple devices?
You don't need it because you got Pages, Numbers, and Keynote. But if you don't like Pages, Numbers, and Keynote, then sure, get Office 365. Because that's one of the other cons here. Mac and Android has to have Office 365. They have to have it. If they want to access OneDrive, they have to have an Office 365 account, which now means that you have to pay the $100 a year in order to be able to do all that, but now you can utilize Word, Excel, PowerPoint on your iPad or on your iPhone. Also, you have to set your permissions to share documents. Security can be an issue. Now, iCloud Drive, which is Apple, you sign up for an iTunes account, you get 5 gigabytes of storage. Now, what's really cool is that if I create a Pages, Numbers, or Keynote document, or even an iMovie video, it's automatically syncing from iCloud through all of my other Mac-style devices. So if I make a document like that on my MacBook or my Mac computer, then my iPad, my iPhone, my iPod automatically have access to that same document. If I delete it from one of these, and you got to be careful, because if you say delete from all devices, it's removed from all the devices, not just one. So you got to be careful on how you delete stuff. It's also easy to open and edit documents in one app to the other. You can share your files, access the iCloud from the web by just simply going to apple.com, logging into your iTunes account, and getting into your iCloud account. And of course, you can set up automatic storage, but you don't need to worry about setting that up anymore because it automatically happens. And of course, iCloud is available for PC users. Bless you. Now, the big con here, they do have a paid service for more storage, about $10 a month for 1 terabyte. They do have smaller plans, like I think it's 99 cents for 1 gigabyte of extra storage. So when it's all said and done, it's cheaper to get the $10 per month for 1 terabyte, because if you keep just adding 99 cents, you're just undercutting yourself. Right? It's not very intuitive to use, but it does take a bit of time to maneuver through it because it happens so automatic and behind the scenes. That's one of the cons that I dislike. It's also not very Windows friendly when it comes to editing, only because Microsoft and Apple still don't talk to each other properly. Sure, I can open Word, Excel, and PowerPoint documents in any of the editing suite for Apple, like Pages, Numbers, and Keynote, but I cannot do the opposite. So I can't take a document that was created in Pages on a Mac and open it into Word. They won't work that way. But I can do the opposite. So probably because Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, when Steve Jobs was alive, still didn't like each other for the longest time. Still probably to Steve Jobs is to this day in his grave. But that's the way it was. Anybody familiar with the Steve Jobs, Bill Gates debates?
No.
No? Okay, back in the day when they were really starting up in the garages, Bill Gates has been claimed that he stole things from them, which, depending on who you talk to, neither nay or say, like the mouse and the Windows operating system back in the day. So for the longest time, they just really butted heads. So hopefully that's no longer the case anymore, but unfortunately the products still really are not overly compatible. By the way, it's also iCloud Drive is not usable with Android operating systems. So like on an Android phone or an Android tablet, you can't access unless through the web, the iCloud, and even then it'll say this won't work correctly. So, which one do you use? After all is said and done, which one? Honestly, it's up to you guys. As a matter of fact, most of us in this room are probably using anywhere from 2 to 3 different systems, right? Like, anybody here with Dropbox?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, right? Nobody else. But iPhone or iPad, you got an iCloud Drive, so that's 2 right there. And then Microsoft Office 365, anybody? No? 1, there we go. We got 3 and 4, and of course everybody's got Gmail, right?
Yes.
Oh, you got Google Drive. There you go. That makes that simple. So most of us in this room are probably using anywhere from 2 to 3 different drives already. So just be flexible, know which ones do what. You know, again, this particular class is just to help you be aware of certain things that you should be aware of. Okay? Now, for those of you who have never ever used Dropbox or you ever not really overly using any of your cloud drives, I want to have you sign up for Dropbox today. I get it. I just said Google or Dropbox is the most hacked cloud drive out there, but honestly, it has been around the longest. It is one of the easiest to use. So very simply, step 1, you're going to go to Dropbox.com. Okay? When you go to Dropbox.com, you're going to come over where it says sign up for free and create your free account. The moment you create your free account, you get 2 gigs of free storage space right away. The second thing that you're going to do is you're going to choose download the app. If you download the app, that automatically gives you another 2 gigabytes of free storage space. So now you got 4. Now what you're going to do is you're going to go to your phone. You're going to go to your App Store or your Play Store. You're going to look for Dropbox. You're going to download it, and then you're going to access the same account that you just created. Now all of a sudden, you're going to get another 2 gigabytes of free storage. So now you're up to 6.
Wow.
Then you're going to probably either go to your tablet device or your computer at work, access the account, download the app. Now you got another 2 gigabytes. So at the end of the day, if you at least download it to 3 different devices, that will give you 8 gigs of storage space. Now, invite at least 5 to 6 other people. I don't care if they're already using Dropbox. One of the nice things about Dropbox is the fact that you're trying to get the word out about them, and you're trying to share the fact that, hey, if you're not using Dropbox, you should. Dropbox will now give you the other 7 gigabytes at no cost.
Wow.
Even if they don't sign up? Even if they don't sign up?
Even if they don't sign up. The fact that I sent something out from the account to invite, and it will be on the website, invite other people. Right? Then or invite other users. When you invite other users, then it'll say, okay, now you've got 15 gigs of free storage. Okay? Now, how do we share files? Now, I'm going to leave the presentation here real quickly. So as an example, what I would want you to do, you have Dropbox downloaded on your computer, right? You got to download it on your tablet device. You got to download it on your phone device. Now, you guys work with clients each and every day, different clients, right? So what I would do on your computer device, create a folder called Clients or Work or whatever. Inside this folder, you're going to make 2 subfolders. Buyers, sellers, maybe even a third and a fourth. Tenants, landlords. Inside those folders, you're going to have your individual files for your clients. Okay? Now, if I were to take this folder right now, and I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to move it over to my Dropbox. Now, you'll see here that when I click on this and I drag it over top of this, my Dropbox, and I let go, you're going to notice here in a second that this folder will disappear. Whoops.
Don't say whoops, doctor.
Why? Because I am telling my system to move it from my computer into Dropbox. So Dropbox will have my own one and only copy of all my client stuff, right? Stop. What I would want you to do, you need to make sure that you have backups of your backups of your backups, right? So what you're going to do, I'm going to take this out. I'm going to delete this one, by the way. And then we're going to click on this one. And we're going to move out of Dropbox. And then hopefully I can delete. Whoops. That one. Excellent. what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this folder. Now, even though I've got all these subfolders in here, right? As long as I'm at the main folder on my desktop, I'm going to right-click, because I'm a PC user, on this folder, and now I'm going to choose Copy. So now what I'm doing is I'm making an exact duplicate of this folder and anything that's inside this folder. Now I'm just going to go anywhere on my desktop, I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to say Paste. Now I have a copy of my client's folder, in every folder and file that's in that folder, I've made a copy of. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this copy and I'm going to move it into my Dropbox.
I thought you already did that.
I'm going to do that now. What I did without doing this, I moved the original folder. So it's my one and only copy, right?
Gotcha.
Now if I was NASA, would I send an astronaut up in space and only have one way of doing something?
Sure.
Right? Sure, right? Like Apollo, what was it? Apollo 13? Something went wrong. They had redundancy systems to try to back up. Heaven forbid they all fail. Well, we need to think about that, right? When we have stuff like this electronically, we should have backups of our backups. So, take the copy and now move it to my Dropbox. Now, I'm probably going to have duplicate files on two areas, right?
Yeah.
But now, as I'm working with clients and maybe I add extra things in, maybe I got something that was emailed to me and I download it into my Dropbox, into their client folder, or into their folder for their transaction. Now maybe I grab that document and pull it over onto my computer. Or I right-click copy and then pull it over to pull the copy. So now I've got duplicates going on. At the end of the day, whatever that folder is within this big folder, I drag it over back into the client's folder on my computer. It'll say, do you want to copy certain files? You can say yes, overwrite, or if there's not a new file in there or a duplicate file, it'll place that file in that folder. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So it's an easy way of being able to move stuff back and forth. Okay? So once you do that, you've got that going. Now, how do we share files? How do we share files out of here? Short of me creating an email and I attach these documents as attachments, we want to be able to give large amounts of documents very quickly and easily to a client, right? The easiest way that I've found to be able to do this is through the internet. So here, when I go into the internet and I log into my Dropbox account, we're going to sign in, hopefully. And here are my files. Here are my files and file folders. Now, to share a file within a file folder, I can go into a file or into a folder, and now I've got all my individual files, right? If I hover over top of a file, I now have a button here that says Share. If I click on Share, now all I need to do is type in the person's email address. Now, by the way, it defaults to here to say can view. That means whoever I'm sharing this document with can only view the file on their computer. They can download a copy of the file onto their computer, or they can print it out on their printer. If you wanted to, you could click on that can edit and give them, or can view and choose edit rights. Which now, if they, not only can they view the document, print the document, but now when they hit download, they can actually move the file from my folder or from my Dropbox onto their computer. You don't want the clients to do that. So, in this case, maybe in this, I need to send a file to a title or lender or an escrow. I can now type in their email address for my representative. Now, instead of being able, them opening or not getting the large attachment, they get instead a link that they can click on and download the file onto their computer. Now, if they're on a phone device or a mobile device, and they have Dropbox on their mobile or phone device, the system will automatically say, would you like us to download this file into your Dropbox account? And then where do you want it to put into your Dropbox account? So you can literally download a file from my Dropbox directly into your Dropbox. Does that make sense? Now, do I want to have to do this for every file?
No.
Maybe like my assistant or my TC or my office manager or my office broker. Do I want to send them one file at a time? Probably not. What I want to do is be at the folders level. So what I can now do is share an entire folder. So that means that any file that goes into this folder, they will now be able to view, save, and print the file. So when I want to share a folder of information with a person or persons, simply hover over top of the folder. Now I see the share button here, and now I can click on share. Again, I could type their email address, but before I do that, we see here that it defaults to can edit. So I'm giving the person the right to put things in this folder or take things out. Click on the down arrow and give them view only. And now I can type in their email address.
Can they print the document?
Yep. And I can type as many different people to access this folder. So maybe I give my clients access to this folder if I choose, but definitely my TC, my assistant, my office manager, my office broker, maybe a title or lender. And again, maybe you can have subfolders like lender docs and escrow docs or whatever. Give them can view rights, and now maybe even type in a small message. Now when I hit share, an email link will go to all those parties. Now what's super cool is if I were to upload new files to this folder, they're sent an automatic push notification that I uploaded a document to that folder. Now they can download that information themselves or be aware that that information appears, and then they can do whatever they need. So they can view it, they can print it, they can download a copy. So now this is a quick and easy way of being able to exchange documents or large amounts of documents quickly and easily. Anybody like this?
Yes.
Excellent. All right.
If you,
Yes.
I don't know the terminology, but what's the size of like a purchase contract with, through like zip forms, where you have the agency disclosures, the counteroffers, all, I mean, it's 60
The
pages.
PDF file size typically of the RPA, I think is teetering at 4 megabytes. So, and that includes the AD, the PRBS, the wire fraud, the RPA, and the BIA. I do believe it's about a 4 megabyte file. Now, most emails, even an internet email account like Gmail or Hotmail or Yahoo Mail, won't accept any emails larger than 5. So if I send that document plus another document plus another document, now I might have exceeded the size limit. And this is really big when it comes to photos. That's why, like, if you're getting photography done, they usually send you a link rather than multiple emails of all the attachments of all the photos to the property. Right? It's easier to send you a link for you to be able to click on, then download, and then do whatever you want, versus let me send you like 30 different emails. Like,
Right.
how many disclosures are there for a transaction? I think, what is it, 48 to 60? Now, if I got all 60 disclosures done for a home that I'm trying to get over to Tina, who's the buying agent, for her clients to review, that's a lot of emails. So if I have those signed documents in my, say, Dropbox, now I can share with Tina access to those PDF files.
So, but zip forms has something similar.
Very similar. Very similar. So zip forms, yes, with its feature
So you
of
can
the
send a
share
gigantic
button.
file.
Hmm?
So you can send a gigantic file.
I wouldn't send a gigantic, no. It's a link.
But
so the
what
links
I'm
are
saying,
really
like,
small.
But zip forms,
I could attach via email, which now that is a large email, which if it's too big, won't go out. There's a button in zip forms called share. Share acts exactly like this, where I can give a person or persons access to various different documents in my transaction. So Tina could be my client. She doesn't have access to zip forms. But if I give her a link to access this transaction in my Zip Forms account to these documents, she can now view, save, and print them.
So if I sent too many forms and zip forms, it wouldn't go through?
Correct. It'll go out there and then it'll get lost.
Oh, really? I guess I've never done that.
That's lucky.
Yeah. I sent big files out, and I've never had one kick back.
Yeah. Anything above usually 5 megabytes it won't usually kick back nowadays.
So
Nowadays it'll get lost.
So if you're, oh, really?
Yeah.
So to go to zip forms, if you're going to send out, a gazillion forms one time.
Then there's a button called Share.
Okay.
So the Share button in Zip Forms acts now like a cloud drive because I have all these different attachments and signed PDFs files like you saw from our first class, right? I got a signed contract. Now that contract's automatically uploaded as part of my Zip Forms account. Well, that Share button, I can now take those PDFs and say who gets to view, save, and print them. So if I have 60 disclosures or whatever, I can now click the Share button, select those disclosures, choose that agent or that assistant or that office manager, and now they get a small email link instead of a large email file. They click on the link, they do whatever they do, and now they can view, save, and print those files. Most than likely, the other agent can now download those PDFs. Now she can use the Add Docs button in Zip Forms to upload them, get her clients to digitally sign them, and now she can share those back to me. Now I can save them, upload them, and then I'll share those back with my client all in one small email. Now they have a copy, or they can now download the copies of their signed contracts. So again, with your internet age nowadays, it's easy to exchange large amounts of information without having to create large amounts of emails or multiples, right? Because heaven forbid, geez, did I select that file? I can't remember. I'm resending it again. Now the person's got 3 copies of the same document. At least here it's one document, right?
Do we use Doc Central or Disclosure .io?
I don't know what Doc Central is, but I think Doc Central was an electronic.
Up north, they use that.
That's probably it's kind of like the same thing where it's just an offline or off-site cloud storage system that you can maintain your transactions on. It just depends on the company. A lot of the office back-end stuff, they will do the kind of the same thing, but you should keep a copy of your stuff anyway. Because what happens if you leave that company? Now you don't have access to Doc Central,
Yes.
right? Always keep a copy for yourself, somewhere, at some point, okay? All right. Are there any questions on Dropbox?
Too many.
Yes.
No, I don't know where to start.
You don't know where to start. Okay. Well, that's okay. All right. And you seem to be pretty good at Dropbox anyway, right?
My son put it on my phone and my mobile device recently. I haven't played with it.
Play with it. Add some files in and try out some of the things that we're doing, like sharing things out. So that way you kind of get that habit, right? It'd be kind of a nice little habit to start getting into. Because when, say, Tina's sending me documents and I can now download them, now from my Dropbox I can share with my clients the documents that Tina has given me for my clients to review. Now maybe from my Dropbox I can upload them into my Zip Forms for my clients to now digitally sign. Now, once they're digitally signed, I can maybe put things back into my Dropbox because I want a copy. Now I can share it back with Tina to show that we've executed or acknowledged whatever documents she sent over to me for her clients earlier on. And of course, hey, we opened escrow. Title, lender, escrow needs different documents. And now one of us is sending these links back and forth with our vendors.
Oh, yeah, I see.
So without having to go, geez, did I send that document? I got to look through a whole string of 10,000 different emails, right? It's all, now I can look to see who I shared stuff with. You notice that when I went into my Dropbox and I went to share, it gave me a list of who I've shared that folder with or who I've shared that document with. Now I can say, oh yeah, I'm missing. In Zip Forms, I can see what documents I've shared with each individual because each individual I can share different documents.
Good.
They don't all have to get the same.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
There's a lot of things that you can do. All right, part 2. Now, part 2 about cybersecurity. This class, really, I owe a lot to Craig Grant, who I consider one of my mentors, besides Beth Z, our nerdy best friend. Between her and him, I've really learned a lot when it comes to technology and how much technology does affect your business. So, really, what we're going to go to is cybersecurity. Now, I know no one ever likes to talk about it because no one ever thinks that it could ever happen to them. And that's a big deal nowadays, right? Just so you know, over 92,000 viruses are created each and every day. More than 30,000 Americans are hacked each and every day. So now, why is you as an agent need to be aware of, or why do we need to consider cybersecurity, wire fraud, things like that, right? Oh, by the way, when it comes to data security, honestly, you can prevent more than 75% of data breaches or hacks if you just implement just a few simple, easy things, right? If you just take a few easy steps. Now, does everybody utilize stuff to think that their data is secure? I hope so, right? Well, let's go over that. By the way, ways your computers get viruses and malware and things like that. Average or no antivirus protection on your computer. You don't encrypt any of your files or file folders on your computer or your devices. And of course, most importantly, number 3, weak or repeated passwords. We're going to have a lot of fun with that one. All right, so you need some sort of antivirus on your device. Now, according to Craig, again, I owe a lot to Craig, these are our big 3, AVG Pro, Avast, and malware. I've used malware. I like malware, but I like Avast a little bit better, personally. AVG out there has really got a great reputation. McAfee and Norton are probably the 2 most horrible viruses out there. You buy your computer, it comes with Norton antivirus, right? If it comes with your computer, guess what? It's probably already been hacked, right? Now, basically what we need to do when it comes to our malware and stuff, they do have different levels of service. Like, you can download any of those for free, right? Now, for free, it's not really good. Why? Because with the free version, it doesn't have all the suites and everything like that that it's supposed to look for. It will tell you if you do have a virus, so if you want to try it out, see what it looks like, and see if your computer does have viruses. More than likely you do if you don't have something like this already. But then they go into start getting paid. Now, for around $25 a year, depending on which one you use, you can virus protect one computer. Now, how many of you have just one computer or one device at any given time? Exactly. Most everybody in this room has at least a bare minimum of 2, if not 3 different devices. Computer at home, your phone, and of course your tablet device. And then maybe you got a computer at your office that you brought home or from home to your office. This is where we need to think about full end-to-end or endpoint protection. So this allows us to protect multiple computers and even in some cases our mobile devices. Those costs, depending on which one you use, anywhere from $75 to $100 a year. That is actually the best. Just so you know, antivirus, personal firewalls, intrusion detection are all part and total approach to full endpoint protection. Quote unquote Craig Grant. So, these things here will now not only scan your emails, look at attachments, look at websites that you're going to, everything like that, to make sure and go out of their way that your computer is being protected. I love Avast because Avast will actively watch out what you're doing and tell you, hey, you got an attachment and we've scanned the attachment for you and we see that there is a virus. Do you still want to open the attachment?
No.
No, but it'll ask you, do you still want to open this attachment? And it's surprising how easy it is to slide in viruses into people's computers, right? How many people go to websites? Those websites get viruses all the time. Like a few months ago, CAR had a computer virus embedded in their website, and nobody knew about it.
Was that the one with all the dues? That was...
No, CAR. So CAR.org.
What was the one that was getting the dues? So I was getting the emails from you guys saying that the people that were paying on the monthly dues.
Oh yes, that was a phishing email. But yes, they were trying to say that people didn't pay or something. I saw something like that last week. There was like an extra thing being sent out by CAR.
Huh? That was OCAR. That was.
Well, we sent out an email saying your dues are due, but there was something from CAR that was an erroneous virus email that was trying to, it was basically a phishing email to try to get you to give over your credit card or bank account information.
Oh, so it was from that car one. Okay.
It was that car one.
Yeah, I knew that was fishy because, I mean, I knew it was weird because it was like.
And usually CAR doesn't say, hey, pay us your dues,
Yeah, they just say
because
your
that comes
month
from
off.
us, the association. All right, so now why do we need to consider cybersecurity? Really quickly. According to Code of Ethics Article 1-9, it says that it's the obligation of the realtor to preserve confidential information provided by their clients in the course of any agency relationship. This means that it is your responsibility to protect any and all data. Now, I get it. You guys get tons of emails each and every day, but in those emails, you get things like tax records, bank statements, and of course, you get signed documents. So, because of Article 1 in your Code of Ethics, it says that you have an obligation to protect this information. If information is stolen from you, it is your responsibility for having that data stolen. Clients today are suing their real estate agents for data breaches. You guys have to be careful of that. So, I know, kind of
Question,
crazy, right? So we
excuse-
need to make sure that this information is protected. Yes, Tina?
I'm sorry. When I open zip form,
Uh-huh.
and it asks me when I go to the signing part,
Signing is encrypted,
yeah, and then
but
it
it's only
asks
as
me.
strong as access to your zip forms account.
No, it asks me cyber security.
Yes. Well, cybersecurity is to protect that digital signing session. This is a little bit different.
Oh,
So think about this. And yes, that is a different type of protection to think about, right? So her question is when I go to digitally sign documents in zip forms, there is a choice there in digital ink that says, would I like to add in cybersecurity for a small fee of $5 for the transaction? And what that does is it allows you to put in the client's mobile phone numbers so that they can get a text message, to put in a code that they receive before they digitally sign documents. Now that's before,
yeah, before.
right? Which I highly recommend, which is a different layer or a different type of protection you're giving your client. What I'm talking about is information that's on your computer or on your cloud drives or on your phone devices that if someone were to break into your computer and steal, you are responsible for. So, what information do you keep on your computer? All your clients' files, right? The transactions that you've dealt with, the signed contracts that you have from your clients, the letter from the lender, the bank statements, the earnest money deposit, copy check, all for your files. That is all your responsibility that if it's stolen from your computer, that a client has the right to sue you. Sounds scary. I get it. So, we need to think about 4 things that we could or should be encrypting. Number 1, I want you guys to start encrypting your files and file folders on your computer. Now, there's software out there that I've heard and have used. It's called VeraCrypt, VERACRYPT. It's free software that you can download, and what this allows you to do is right-click on the file or file folder to password protect it and encrypt it. Now, what I would suggest, you need to give a layer of protection. So, not only do you encrypt each and every individual file, but encrypt those file folders that those files are in. What you want to do when it comes to encryption on your computer, you want to give a layer of difficulty for a hacker to break into, right? So think about this. And I'm going to use Craig Grant's example of stealing from a house, right? If you were a thief trying to scope out which house you want to rob from, and you see 2 houses in front of you, and you see one house that's got the bright lights and the security cameras, and it says that it's protected by Cox Security, and that the hedges are nicely trimmed, you look at that house, right? But then right next door you see the house that doesn't have the bright lights, has overgrown hedges, has no security cameras, has no security or home security. If you were a thief going to break into someone's house, out of those 2 homes, which one do you want to break into?
The other one,
The unsecured one, right? So, doesn't mean that somebody's not going to break into your computer. Happens. But what we want is to make sure that the data that they do try to get, they can't get. right? So if we encrypt the folders and the files that are within those folders, we now give them a degree of difficulty to make it hard for them to break into. Because what these cyber thieves want nowadays is quick, easy information, because they want easy victims to go from one to the next, because it's money for them. If they have to take time, and time is usually more than 5 minutes or more, it's not worth it. So if they really want the data from you, they'll sit down there and they'll break it all day long, but you want to make it as difficult as possible. So encrypt your files and file folders on your computer device. Second thing to think about encrypting, because we were just talking about cloud drives and how safe and secure those were, right? We need to encrypt files and file folders on our cloud drives. Boxcryptor, Boxcrypter. Boxcryptor allows you to encrypt files and file folders on your cloud drive systems. Now, they do have a free service. The free service allows you to encrypt one cloud drive. Now, I think we were just talking about some of us in the room have more than one. Their paid service is about $48 a year for you to encrypt up to 3, and it goes up. So now you can encrypt your Google Drive, your Dropbox, your iCloud Drive, whatever other drive. And of course, now you can encrypt those files and file folders. Think about encrypting your mobile device. What I mean by that, activate either the fingerprint or the face recognition software on your mobile device. I think nowadays when you buy a new iPhone, it requires you to look at your phone before it unlocks. Anybody here just turn on your phone and you swipe it on? Anybody? Good. Right? Anybody ever think, what information's on your phone? Your information's gold to a thief. Especially a cyber theft, right? Because think about it. What's on your phone? What do you do on your phone? Right? You have your personal photos that you take on your phone device.
Right.
People can use that, right? Because why? They see where you go, where you live, who is part of your family. That's all gold to the people, right? That's information about you that they can use against you. Yes, ma'am?
I just swiped mine on.
No, that means that it's not very secure. Do you have the face print? Do you have to look at your phone for it to unlock before you swipe it on?
No.
Right. So if I were to steal your phone today and I just have to turn on your phone and swipe it, now I've got access to all your photos. But wait a minute. You have contacts, right? The leads that you get, your clients, your consumers. You have what? Their name, sometimes their address, their email address, and of course what? Their phone number. And maybe even notes that you make about that contact. So now in your phone device that I've stolen from you, I've got all that information that I can use. Huh?
What do I need to do?
You'll probably have to go into your settings to enable either the fingerprint, face. If it doesn't offer that, enable your code. Do you have to punch in a code before swiping it on? Like when I turn it on, do I have to put in my 4 or 5 or 6 digit number?
No.
No? There you go. Need to think about that.
Yeah.
And of course, anybody do banking on their phone?
Yes.
Yes, there we go. So let me guess. You have an app on your phone from your bank account that all you got to do is just tap on it, and now you've got access to your account. So I steal your phone, and it's not encrypted or anything like that. I now have access to steal your money.
Yeah. I have my finger.
I want you to enable, if you're an iPhone user, Find My iPhone. Enable that app. Not only if your phone is lost or stolen, you can now track it if they try to get into the internet, but there's a feature in there to remotely wipe it clean.
I don't have an iPhone.
You have an Android phone, it's called Find My Android. Does the exact same thing. If someone goes onto the internet on your phone, it automatically tells you where that phone is, and you can either choose to wipe that phone clean so they can't get any of the data out of it. But again, you need to make sure that the password, fingerprint, face recognition, whatever about that phone is done. Because you want to make it difficult for them to break into your phone.
How did you
Okay.
go there?
Through your settings.
Oh, setting? Okay.
Through your settings, and then you just tap on where it says Find My. And I think on the iPhones, it's an actual app that says Find My iPhone or Find My iPad. Turn it on.
Oh, okay.
Because you guys need to protect your phones. I don't know of any agent that doesn't leave home without it, right? And that's not American Express. It's your phone device. Most of you in this room probably do this. You wake up in the morning, the first thing you do is grab your phone and start looking at it, right? You never say good morning to your spouse, right? You immediately look at your phone to go through your thing, right? Your day, your life, everything. And again, nobody here ever goes out the house without their phone. So, your phone is a very vital tool in your life because if that's gone, how do you do business?
So your Find My Phone should always be on?
You should always have that on because if someone were to steal your phone, you can at least go on to the web or to another phone device and then try to find it.
What about send last location? Should that be on too?
Yeah. And then if there's a choice to remotely wipe it, you want to be able to do that. Because once you go back to, say, find my iPhone, and you say report lost or stolen, it will say, would you like us to remotely wipe? And you say yes.
Oh.
Because that way if they go into the internet, it immediately wipes out the phone and puts it back to starting position.
Oh, that's good.
So it protects your information.
It'll ask you if the
It will ask you. Now, the last thing that we're going to think about encrypting is our emails. How many of you get emails from... Bye-bye. How many of you actually get emails that say, here are my tax records, here are my W-2 statements, here's my bank statement from a client? Nobody? What about, here are my signed contracts?
I've gotten that.
You've gotten that, right? Hackers do not have to actively steal your data right then and there. As a matter of fact, today's hackers, especially when it comes to real estate fraud and wire fraud, they sit and watch what you guys do on your emails. Not just you, but your clients. Right? They wait for that key moment to all of a sudden start inserting wrong wiring instructions and this, that, and the other, right? You guys, again, have to protect this information that goes back and forth. Now, one way to encrypt emails, there's a software out there called Mailvelope, MAILVELOPE.com. This allows you to send encrypted emails. So, and of course, any attachment in the email will be encrypted. Some quick nuances about it. You add the contact that you want to send encrypted emails to. You create a password. And now you can send, when you type in that person's email, right-click and lock or encrypt the email. Now, encrypting emails is a two-way street, right? If I send out encrypted emails, shouldn't I be getting encrypted emails back? Hopefully, right? We got to have conversations with our clients. Hi, Tina. You and I are going to be working together in this business venture, right, of buying and selling a property. So, you and I are going to be exchanging a lot of information back and forth, right?
Yes.
Escrow information, your bank statements, this, that, and the other, right? I need to make sure that your data is protected. So, anytime I send you an email, I'm going to have it encrypted. Anytime you send me an email, it needs to be encrypted as well. You're going to use Mailvelope to send me encrypted emails. By the way, the password I want you to use is going to be this. And you tell them what the password is. Don't email them the password.
Right.
Kind of defeats the purpose. Yes?
On settings, what do I look for? Because I don't have.
What are you trying to do, ma'am?
Find my eye.
Are you doing the find
Maybe so
my...
I just can't swipe
try-
it and it opens. Usually
that should be
use
under either passwords or passcodes or security for Android. I don't know which Android device you're using, but it should be under one of
This
those.
is a 9, I think.
Android,
Samsung.
Samsung 9. So look for security. Do you have a security option under settings? We'll take a look at that after class. I promise. All right, so
Lock screen and security always on display, face recognition.
there you go. There you go.
There, I just didn't go down far enough.
There we go. So then it'll ask you to look at your phone and probably look at it from different angles so that it gets a 3D image of your face. Which would be great, right? You have to always look at your phone, or you have to put in a passcode if you're not looking at your camera. All right, so encrypt your emails. Now, one other thing I would also suggest, introduce your team to your clients. And what I mean by introduce your team, I'm not talking about buying or listing agents. I'm talking about your team of who's your title, who's your escrow, and who's your loan, right? And maybe even your TC. Instead of having just a phone conference, have a video conference, like a FaceTime or a Skype. So now what you'll do is you'll have this type of conversation introducing your client to this team so that your client understands who they're talking to throughout the course of the transactions. And now they can associate a face with a name. I'll give you a couple of crazy examples of people not being introduced and wire fraud. Okay? This happened just a few months ago. It was at one office. We were talking about cybersecurity, and the broker had basically said, hey, this is what we need to be careful of. Someone had hacked into our escrow emails accounts. Notice that the escrow and the agent and the buyer were about to close escrow. The person created a very similar email address to the escrow and sent over false wiring instructions, encrypted, bless you, to the buyer. The buyer went in, they clicked on the link, or they got the unencrypted email, got the wiring instructions, and sent over $350,000.
Oh my God.
That's gone. Gone. The only way that the broker found out about it, along with the agent and the escrow company happened to call the buyer and said, hey, we're sending over someone, a notary right now, with the wiring instructions to you for you to wire your funds. The client said, wait a minute, I just wired my funds. What do you mean you just wired your funds? Well, I got an email from you guys of wiring instructions. So the agent or the escrow officer said, send us the instructions, because I don't think that's from us. Needless to say, it wasn't. Turned out when they tracked it, it got to Ethiopia and was unrecoverable.
So they're out of luck.
They're out of luck, $350,000. Second instance, someone hacked into the escrow email and sent an actual wiring instruction, unencrypted, from that escrow officer's email to the listing agent or to the buying agent. The buying agent didn't even bother opening up the email. They just forwarded the email off to their client. Their client wired $40,000, gone. The clients obviously went after the agent and the brokerage, right? Or actually the agent said, hey, I'm covered by E&O, right? The broker said, or the E&O insurance said, nope, you're not covered. And the broker said, well, it was your fault because you didn't look at the email and you just forwarded it off. So the agent was out $40,000 for that erroneous email. So you guys got to be careful of the stuff that goes out. You got to make your clients aware. This is why you do a wire fraud advisory, right? You got to make sure that your clients understand what should be going on. And this is a great opportunity for you to be able to introduce your team, because your team is going to tell them exactly what to expect throughout the entire process, right? Your lender representative that they're working with is going to explain the entire process of what that lending process will be. Your escrow officer is going to be able to explain their process, and of course, title is going to tell them what they need to do. And again, it's a great opportunity along with your transaction coordinator, your TC. So this is a great opportunity for you to be able to provide services that other agents aren't. Think about it. Think about changing these habits, because a lot of consumers just go, an agent's just not really involved. They don't provide me anything. Well, we got to look out for their information, right? Not only for ourselves, but for our clients. Now, this all comes down to your password. What's your password?
Yeah.
Right?
We don't know.
59% of people use the same password for everything. How many of you use the same password for multiple accounts? A couple of you, right? Like MLS, Zip forms, heaven forbid your bank account, your computer account, whatever, right? 63% of hacks are due to weak passwords. So can you imagine 59% of you in this room, which is about that, 63% of those are hacked. So, the benefit of a strong password. In today's password software hackers, they're computing and deciphering over 1,000 different combinations per second. This is why it's very easy for them to figure out things, because they've got computers deciphering things at such a fast speed on multiple different accounts. This is why we need to think about things like this, right? Anybody remember the password or the Sony hack that happened? Sony, the corporation, the movie makers and stuff. Somebody broke into their information about 5 years ago, right? Stole billions of dollars worth of movies and HR files or human resource files of the employees out of their computers.
Wow.
You know what the password was to the computer that they broke into? Password.
Oh my God. Gee, that's so easy.
Billions of dollars, right?
Password.
Password.
why they tell you to do different combinations.
Do different combinations, right? Well, now, when it comes to creating passwords, we have two unique ways of creating a password. We have an automated way and a manual way. Okay, what I mean by automated, we actually pay different companies or use different companies. Now, there are tons of companies that do this, but there are two that are really good at creating a user ID and a unique password. This is LastPass and 1Password. LastPass is probably the best one out there, especially for the free service, but the problem with this is that they no longer can ever claim. And LastPass, just last year, was the final one to actually get hacked where data was stolen.
Wow.
No password company, unless it's brand new today, can ever claim that they have never had a data breach. So, you can use this, not a problem, but just be aware, even though they do have security things. Now, just so you know what's unique about these two, right? You have 1Password to get into your account, right? Now, these will generate username and passwords for your various different accounts. Now, what's really cool about LastPass is for free, they will scan your entire computer under every account to tell you how many common passwords you have for each account. And would you like the system to generate you new passwords? So it's super cool what it does. But if I forget my password to get into these, I'm hosed.
Oh.
I really am. I mean, if you don't know the password to get into your account to be able to apply your passwords automatically to all your other accounts, it won't send you a password reset. It won't send you
Really?
an update. It'll say, sorry, we can't help you.
Oh my goodness.
I stepped out for a minute, but it was like that guy that recently died that had some like Bitcoin account
And nobody knows his password.
and they're like $200 million just sitting there that no one can access.
Yeah.
Oh my God, really?
All his clients.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy. It's because he didn't tell anybody his password. Good for him. Good for him. All right. So we got the second choice, manually creating. So we can manually create our own unique user IDs and passwords, but we need to make sure that we create good and hard to hack passwords and user IDs, right? So we're going to go over the base psychology of creating a password. So, yes, what I mean by this, maybe we create a base or a prefix. Create something that's a unique letters, numbers, symbols, if you can, common prefix to every password. As an example, maybe you like shells. If you like shells, maybe you begin your password always with the word shell, but you're going to spell shell, $, capital H, number 3, lowercase l, the number 1. Then the tail end of the password will be whatever your account is. So maybe if it's for maybe encrypting those files and file folders, you create it based around the transaction, part of the transaction name, like the street address and street number. Maybe for your bank accounts, you put something like Chase B account. Or maybe you put in Yahoo email or zip form and then part of your last name. They say usually these two combinations will now create strong passwords. So ideally, if we have strong passwords, it usually could take about 30 or more years to crack.
Oh, wow.
Just as an example, here we go. Somebody from this sentence created this password. Estimated that based on this password, it takes 551 years at 1,000 combinations per second.
Oh my God.
So, doesn't mean that it's unhackable. We just need to make it difficult. And again, if we're the home that's got all the security features where we deter hackers from breaking in, doesn't mean that they can't break in. We just make it hard for them to break in. So we have to give this level of protection.
So if you created something like that for all of your...
You create something that's unique for each and every thing. That's why I said, think about your psychology, right? Something that you will always use, and then the tail end of that password will be based around what you're creating that password for. That way, you don't have to necessarily remember all of it, just part of it. Now, you could go as far as, because what is also recommended, you should change your password every quarter, if not once a year. So, maybe you make your tail end, say Q119. Then quarter 2 comes up, like in March, you now change the password to say Q2 19, Q3 19. That way you only have to change one number. Then by the new year, Q1 20, Q2 20, Q3. So you still got the base still going on, or the main part of the bet, and then the last part is your quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3.
So you're saying for your bank and your phone,
Everything.
and just
Because what happens with these common passwords like password, or your animal, or your kid's name, or your spouse's name, what they do is they go through all the accounts that you could ever possibly have. They go, geez, most people, and we talked about that earlier and you weren't here, right? 59% of people use the same password for everything. And we had more than half people in here, yes, I use it for everything. That's the case, and those 63% of hackers are just going right down the list, trying the same password on every account and seeing what opens. So if your bank accounts and your tax account opens up, and then your MLS opens up, and your zip forms opens up, and everything else, now they have full reign to the keys to the kingdom, right?
Yeah.
So this is why we try to think of unique passwords to make it hard for them to try to break into. Because when they're doing 1,000 combinations per second, it's only a matter of seconds. And they're right down the list. So things like this, we want them to do. So create strong passwords from your accounts. Now, protection does go beyond software, right? Other precautions that we need to think about, even though we're putting in security, hackers, phishing, firewalls, identity theft, spam, there are things that do still happen. Now, crazy enough, California came out with the California Consumer Privacy Act of 2018, which gives consumers the right to file a lawsuit for their non-encrypted, non-redacted personal information that has been accessed, unauthorized, exfiltration, theft, or disclosed access as a result of a business's violation of duty to implement and maintain a reasonable security procedures and practices to the nature of that information. So, this act that Governor Brown passed last year says that the consumers have the right, consumers have the right and do not need proof to file a lawsuit against you. They feel that their data was stolen from you, they have the right to sue you. Now, currently, the automatic statutory damage is no less than $100 per consumer per incident. Now, how many of you have more than 200 consumers? People that you've worked with in your business. So, at $100 per 200, that's what?
20 grand.
20 grand? $20,000 at bare minimum. Now, there is a maximum of the statutory damage of $750 per consumer per incident, without any proof. But if they show proof that there were damages and actual damages caused by your data breach, you now pay those actual damages. In some cases, like anybody familiar with LifeLock? You know, they say have a $1 million insurance policy that if your data is stolen, they will insure you on $1 million. Why is that? Because it takes usually about $1 million to recover your data. Can anybody here just have $1 million to throw around to somebody? Right? So, I want you guys to consider cyber insurance. Okay? Now, we have a class coming up March 7th about the cyber insurance. But basically, if and when a data breach or a hack does happen to you, because hey, you're taking all the necessary precautions, do you have protection for yourself and your business? That's the big thing, right? So, where do you find it? How much does it cost? This, that, and the other. Anybody here use the benefits store from OCAR or Orange County Realtors? Meaning that you're getting life insurance, health insurance, vision insurance, maybe from even CAR. Anybody getting anybody here have insurance? You have insurance. Who are you getting it through?
Just Kaiser.
Kaiser. Where'd you get your Kaiser insurance from?
I might have called the phone number.
You called the phone number. Okay. Did you know that you could probably get it cheaper if you go through our benefits store?
I think that's how I ended up.
Okay, that's how you ended up, right? We have a benefits store here at Orange County Realtors. Now, we just recently implemented a new product for you guys. to be able to purchase. It's called 360 Coverage Pros.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Okay? This is cyber insurance. Now, we actually went through, based on Craig Grant's last class, about data security and breaching and code of ethics responsibilities and everything like that. Thank you, by the way, Craig. So we went out, and actually one of our member service representatives, Elisa, went out and she talked to several insurance agencies. Now, one interesting fact is that E&O insurance, more than 95% of those E&O insurances do not, let me repeat that, do not cover cyber theft or data breach. So if information is stolen from you, your computer, or whatever, E&O insurance does not cover it. Now, we went out based on this type of information and we started looking at different insurances. We looked at 360 Coverage Pros. They are the best ones out there for what they're going to be offering to you as a member of Orange County Realtors. I want to say we are only one of 7 associations across the nation that are offering this to our members, not only to agents, but to brokerages. Okay? Go to www.360coveragepros.com/OC Realtors. What this does is it takes you to the website where you can now sign up in less than 5 minutes for cyber insurance. Now, what does this cyber insurance cover? It covers first-party liability, so maybe any legal expertise and advice that you can get, notify the affected consumers or customers of information that was stolen from you, forensic costs to investigate the breach, so where did it happen from, what caused it, all that, all covered under this plan. Cost for your business interruption, so if your business has to shut down to get this information fixed because maybe, someone stole your identity. Public relations and crisis management, and of course, that basically means they're reaching out to people on your behalf. But it also covers third-party liability. So in case someone decides they want to sue you for a breach that's happened to your computer or device, this insurance covers. This is the only one that does it.
What is the cost?
Very good question. Here is their plan. So, the affordable cyber insurance. If you make between $0 to $1 million per year, you can get in for at least $200 per year to have $250,000 worth of coverage. Or you can spend $400 a year to get $1 million coverage. Now, part of that coverage, everybody goes, well, what about the deductible? What's the deductible? $500.
That's not bad.
One company that we looked at said, we'll charge you $25 per month for $125,000 of maximum coverage for only first-party liability, but with a deductible of $10,000. That was the second lowest plan that we could find.
Really?
But this one is, I think, for $400 a year to give you at least $1 million worth of coverage, or between $1 million to $2.5 million, maybe $600 or $2.5 million to $500, $750 to $1,000 for $2 million or more.
Excuse me, my company is just each case charges the insurance. Is the same warranty here or different?
Well, this is one insurance that covers you and your business. So whether you're Jack and Jill Real Estate or ABC Real Estate, right? If your broker doesn't have it and you do, guess who's covered? You, not your brokerage. Now, usually sometimes when data breach happens, what happens? This client sues who? Not just you, but everybody involved. So they sue the broker, they sue you, they sue title, escrow, lender, whoever else because they feel wronged by everybody, right? Well, if your E&O doesn't cover the company, but doesn't even cover you, you got to look out for you, right? Because hey, I had a $200 million breach happen to me, or a $2 million or $1 million breach where people were buying stuff under my name, and it was discovered that you were the cause of that breach. Do you want to be covered to help reimburse and not worry, maybe settle out of court? So think about things like that. I think this is really good. By the way, if you're working at a company where their revenue is between over $5 million a year to $100 million a year, they do have other plans for the company. So if I have any brokers in the room, this would be a great thing to tool. So again, March 7th, there will be a webinar. And if you grab this flyer, if you go to www.ocar.org/fight-hack, you can sign up for the free webinar. Okay? This webinar will explain the pitfalls of cybersecurity, where to sign up, and all the bells and whistles of what cyber insurance truly is. Especially because what's your other recourse? If somebody hacks into your information, who are you going to call? Can't call the police, right? The only available person is FBI, but really now at that point at the FBI level, how does this happen for you, the independent business owner? Right? So things like this are meant to help protect you, and that's what we want to offer to you. Okay? Now, anybody remember the Equifax data breach that happened last year? Right? 2017, not last year, but the year before. Equifax got hacked. Equifax happened in July of 2017, but they didn't publicly let everybody know the hack happened until September of 2017. So for 3 months, people's information who had been stolen, and by the way, it was over 140 million people that their information was stolen from Equifax. Everybody knows who Equifax is, right?
Yes,
It's all about what? Credit reports. What's on a credit report? Your social security number, your address, your name, everything. All that information was stolen from people. All because one person didn't upload a patch to the company to prevent the data breach. They knew that this one computer was trying to break in, but instead of putting the patch in place to prevent that computer or that type of virus, the person was on vacation.
Oh my goodness.
And how big is Equifax? That's a what, a multi-billion-dollar company?
Very big, yeah.
One person was in charge of making sure that it was done. Is that responsible?
Yes.
Now,
No,
if
that's
anybody
fine.
does remember this, what was Equifax's fix for this problem? We will monitor your credit for 6 months, and if we happen to notice any erroneous information, we will let you know. With the agreement that you will agree upon that if you let us do this, that you will not sue us, and you absolve us of any liability.
Oh my goodness.
That was their fix. If anybody else had that amount of data stolen from them, do you think that they would probably be in business today?
No.
Probably not. If anything, I'm surprised more people didn't sue them. I want you guys to consider this for you and your clients. Consider freezing your credit. Okay? There is a credit freeze that you can put in. And now I'm going to play a quick little video here. So I'm going to leave this presentation. Oops. We're going to play this video, hopefully.
It's like a substitute teacher playing a movie.
Exactly. I try.
Credit freeze.
And of course, it didn't leave that presentation. Great. Let's try that again. Boop. Excellent. Expand that out. So here.
If there were a single identity theft prevention tool that I would recommend that every single person implement right away, it would be a security freeze. It's a great way to lock hackers out of your credit profile so that they can't spend large sums of money in your name. Your credit profile is a scorecard of your financial health, your credit worthiness, established by Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, the 3 dominant credit reporting bureaus. When you buy a new home or car, or get a new cell phone or credit card, those companies check with a bureau to see what your score is, or in other words, your ability to make payments reliably. But it also allows identity thieves to easily establish credit in your name without proper security. In my case, an identity thief named Rosemary Serrano stole my social security number, took out a massive loan to buy a home using my credit, drained my bank account, declared bankruptcy, and never even had the courtesy to write me a thank you note. Had I implemented a credit or security freeze, I could have stopped her in her tracks. By locking down your credit profile, criminals can't set up a loan or credit in your name. You're password protecting your credit file, making it nearly impossible for fraudsters to use your buying power. In other words, without my PIN number, Rosemary would have had no way to get to my credit. And don't worry, if you're legitimately buying a new home or a car, or taking out a loan, just call the credit bureaus, provide your PIN number, and unfreeze your credit before attempting to make the purchase. While this can be a tiny bit inconvenient, it is quite literally protecting hundreds of thousands of dollars of your net worth. In case you're wondering, a security freeze doesn't lower your credit in any way, doesn't lock you out of credit cards or existing loans. It only applies to new credit that you want to establish. Your 1-minute mission is to place a security freeze with all 3 credit reporting bureaus on your profile. Make sure you are operating from an antivirus protected computer on a safe internet connection, and visit the website listed here for links to all 3 of those
Give you all
bureaus.
those links.
This site lists phone numbers as well, in case you want to freeze by phone. Your credit will stay frozen until you decide to thaw it in order to take out a new loan, which you do using the same website as when freezing your credit. Don't wait even another minute to take this step, as it will eliminate almost 90% of financial identity theft from your life.
So, I think one service that you guys can actually start to provide, let's see, current slide. Tell your clients, maybe before they're getting into escrow or even after they get into escrow, because remember how when you close escrow, you're probably inundated with a ton of things from a ton of people going, hey, buy this, buy that, get a new credit card, da-da-da-da. Right? Everybody knows when someone buys a house or does something big, right? Mm-hmm. So here, get them to freeze their credit. That way, if somebody does try to take out a loan or tries to take out a new credit card under their name, you're at least are thinking about trying to protect them. So do it for yourselves too. Because I know you guys deal with your credit cards all day long or buying, your marketing and doing things on the internet, this, that, and the other, and it's very easy for us to get credit card fraud or somebody trying to take out credit under our name. Freeze your own personal credit. At least that way those creditors can't give them extra credit to get out in your name. Like this gentleman said, somebody bought a house under his name and he didn't even know it. Mm-hmm. Filed bankruptcy, ruined his credit for life. That all costs money to get that back. If you take the time to freeze your credit, and maybe even, again, this is a service that you're now telling your clients to do, they'll probably be appreciative. Maybe you do it while you get into the escrow process and then say, you're going to unfreeze it a day or 2 before the lender runs your credit to give you a loan. Oh. And then afterwards, refreeze it.
Oh, I see.
Okay? Because I know one of the things that you also try to get for your buyers not to do is what? Buy anything super duper big, right? And I know that throws everybody's day off when, say, the client buys 2 Ferraris on that $500,000 house that they're in escrow on. So be mindful of that, okay? All right. Are there any questions?
Oh, what is the fee for that?
0.
Oh, really?
You can do it all for free.
Oh.
You can either call them, mail them, or go to their website and do it manually.
Oh, good. Thank you.
But just like creating a password, you probably want to make it fairly complicated. Don't make it something super easy, because if someone does know your information and they call up, they could probably get the password. In that credit freeze, if they do try to take out a credit, that person that's creating the credit card, like the Sears credit card or the TJ Maxx, it'll deny them. And it will maybe call you and say, hey, are you trying to take out a new credit card? And if you're like, no, great. Or maybe that store person goes, for you to be able to do this credit card, what's your PIN number? If that person doesn't know it, it's fraud. So in a way, it's going to protect you.
So they have to have your PIN.
They have to have that PIN number that you establish after you freeze your credit.
Okay.
So to freeze your credit, you got to create a PIN number.
Okay.
For it to be unlocked, you have to give that that PIN number to unlock it for that credit bureau.
Okay, got it.
Okay? So encourage your clients and then do it for yourselves. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
No.
Oh, no? Okay. Well, thank you guys very much. Are you here for my 3:30?
Thank you.
All right,
Yes,
good. So then what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break. I think we've got 15, 20 minutes, so I'll give you guys a chance to stretch your legs, wake up. Did I freak anybody out? Anybody freaked out today? No? Good.
Yeah.
All right, there we go. Hey, Craig. So I will see you guys in about 20 minutes for our tablet class. Hopefully my phone will still be charged. I got to take a look at that. So talk to you guys later.